Test.bash, which is going to be on the 20th of October. It's the right date, isn't it?
Mark, it's because I muted us all. That's the problem.
Ah, so we were just
So we were muted.
so,
Now we can go. It's been a
so
while
now
since
I,
I've done one of these.
so I've just done all that welcome, 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 and it was all all muted. God, I
Yeah.
hope we can edit these in afterwards. Okay, so
Try
yes,
again.
welcome. Let's try that again. So welcome to the first of four automation challenges that we're going to be doing over this week and next week. All of them are in honor or to sort of raise awareness for Test.bash, which is going to be on the 20th of October. So one of the things that we're doing with Test.bash is it's going to be an online conference that's focused on tools. So the vision that we had was we wanted to get as many people as possible sharing lots of different tools. So to do that, we created these four challenges. We have a UI automation challenge, which we're doing today. Thursday, we're going to be doing API. And then next week, we're going to do visual and data management. So each of these challenges, the focus was less on solving them, but more just showing how they could be solved with different types of tools. So today's one is the UI automation challenge, which we set out basically a specific risk that we wanted people to solve using various different tools. Are we able to share it on the screen,
I
or
can
just
in a
going to read
minute,
it
but I
through?
thought I would just like ask you what your name is. Just for people who don't quite
No,
know what your name
I,
is.
prefer to be known as anonymous. That's
You
probably
want
a
to be
good
known
place
as
to start.
anonymous.
Anonymous. Yeah, I
You don't
actually
want to
don't
be
want to be
known as
anonymous. No,
anonymous.
no,
That
no,
could
you
be
don't really do.
problematic for you.
Yeah, legally speaking, that could
I'll
by
give
any
you a
means.
name badge.
Oh, thank you very much.
I'm
Yes,
also my
so
name's also Mark Winteringham.
oh, now you can say my surname correctly. Now that it's your name. Disgraceful.
There
Yes,
we
I'm
go.
Mark. I'm Ops Boss at Ministry of Testing, and I also run automation in testing with my colleague here, Richard. Speaking of which, we are coming to America next year as well. So if you're, watching these in the future, we will be coming to North Carolina. I think probably Durham, likely, but maybe Raleigh. We're still working the final details out. And we're also going to be in Chicago at the end of February. So if you are in the States and would like to learn more about automation and testing and the why behind automation, you should come to our training courses. But yes, I'm Mark. I love all things tools, and I'm looking forward to trying something a bit new this time.
Awesome. All right, everyone. My name's Richard Bradshaw, also known as Friendly Tester. Currently run Ministry of Testing, so Boss is my brilliantly named title. But yeah, prior to that, lots of fun with automation and, as Mark said, teaching AIT. But yeah, really excited about the format for Test.bash. We've tried it a few times, and I'm sticking with it because I think it's a great learning experience. And I think we've had over 46, is it 45, something like that. They're not checked them all yet, but submissions.
Nearly 50 submissions. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not far off that.
and lots of you on Twitter and LinkedIn all the time shows saying how you've automated this and automated that. This is like a hands-on conference to prove that you are actually doing it. You're saying you are, but are you really doing it? And
Hmm.
then we say we do it, and actually, can we actually do it? So, yeah, let's get the challenge on. Let me see if this
risk, because it's something Richard and I believe quite strongly about when it comes to automation, is that
We
our
were
automation
muted again.
should be rooted
I
in
am
risk.
failing miserably. We were muted again.
What? I was muted again. Disgraceful. And now we're on TweetDeck.
Try again.
Lovely. Okay. So yes, the challenges. Each of the challenges are rooted in risks. So we believe with automation in testing that a lot of the reasons we use tools is to help us mitigate risks. So rather than just say, go automate this, go automate that, we wanted to set the challenge of like, here's a specific risk that we'd like to see you solve with a different tool. So for this one, we were focused on a risk using the website automationintesting.online, and we were focused on an admin user is unable to see and read the message in the admin portal. So if we get another tab open, please, maybe we just show this very quickly. So if we go to automationintesting.online, and we scroll all the way down to the bottom to find the really obvious, really clear admin button here. So if Richard puts the super secure login credentials of admin and password, up in the right hand corner, there's a messages section here. So messages can come in via two different things. See, not bad responsiveness, not the greatest, but not bad. But if we click on that too, then we can see a couple of, someone else is having a little go at the site. But yeah, messages can come into this system via two ways. Either someone can do a booking inquiry, or like just basically use the contact us form, which is on the home page, or they can create a booking. So we were interested in creating some sort of check that checks that that messages are shown here, which equally requires us to create said message as well. So yeah, that's what we're going to look at for the rest of this challenge is there. And we've got some sort of details there as well. Like, so complete the contact us form, log into the admin panel, head to the message page, and then assert that the contents of the message from the contact us form is there. Now, this is not something we strictly or traditionally do ourselves, but it's just a good way to, the whole point of these challenges is also to help us become more tool aware, to practice with tools as well. So it's, whilst this is not something we would traditionally do in our day-to-day automation, it's a good way to just get practicing with tools.
Yeah, and I think the reason why we separated them out this year, so I think previously we kind of just told you what to automate. The reason we went with a risk this year was to try and get a bit of variety and see how people go about solving these risks. So obviously we can interpret this in different ways now. If we break it down very quickly, we've got an admin user, so we know we need to be logged in. So that's kind of something that we've got to deal with. We need to make sure that we can see that there is a message, so maybe that's a concern. The little number 2 that we saw a second ago, is that something we're interested in? Or are we actually interested in just clicking that messaging button and seeing messages? Then obviously it says we need to read the message, so then we also need to open a message to actually read it. So there's multiple ways that we can decide to go about this. Like, should we just do a single UI test, or should we actually do 3 or 4? Obviously we are focusing on the UI, so it's not like we can start mitigating this further down the stack. We probably could, but that's not the concern. We've been specifically told that we need to be on the UI. So yeah, my thinking really is, I think go straight to the open a message, I think is the way I would solve this to start with. I think the number 2, or the indicator to look at it, is kind of a separate risk to me. Like, it doesn't say, are you alerted to a message? So I think we basically jump straight to log in, jump straight to that page, and click on a message.
I mean, that's why we put see and read the message. So we want to actually get into that modal and see the contents of that message.
So, what are we going to use?
What are you going to use? So we were talking a little bit about this. We asked on Twitter, and we got a few suggestions.
I
got any others?
Cypress, Selenium, and Testing is what we got suggested to us.
So we've done streams like this before in the past, and we've done ones for testing before. We've also done quite a lot of Selenium, and there's actually some examples of Selenium checks in the GitHub repo for this. So if you go to github.com/mwinteringham, if you can remember that, /RESTful Booker platform, or RESTful Booker platform. But there's some end-to-end checks in there, and they're written. They're not the most robust ones, but they're fairly crude, but they'll do the job.
Yeah, so there's all page objects, because that's another thing that we're not discussing here, is like we're giving free reign on how you build it as well. So some people, I've seen a few demos and they've gone straight into how they're managing their driver and their page objects and like how they've tried to make it maintainable. Whereas I think we're just gonna try and get it to work right. So, you want to go Cypress then, Mark?
I think so. I think, I mean, personally, I've only really sort of used Cypress a couple of times just to sort of have a play with it, but it has been quite a while. So I think we should give it a crack. And
are you going to drive?
I'll drive. Since you're not a JavaScript man, but you have to do the API one on Thursday.
All right, that's fine. The deal. We'll do it in Ruby. We'll use Party. I've never used it, but we'll use HTTP.
Oh yeah, that's definitely not on the list.
In Ruby.
Yeah, I don't think that's on the list.
I
think someone else has done one in Ruby, but I don't think with Party. I'm not sure.
So Cypress it is.
Cypress is.
Right, so let's get rid of me. The reason I muted us all, by the way, for people laughing at my streaming skills, is because we were on a separate call earlier and I was trying to set up the stream at the same time, and Ecamm was getting sad that I could hear myself through Ecamm basically from the meeting. So I muted everything and then I forgot. And then I copied the same scene, which means that the mute carries on through all the scenes that you make.
Oh, no.
Anyway, that's my excuse, alright? If you don't like it, it's not my problem.
Okay, so let me get some bits and pieces up. So we'll do a new window. Don't need any of this stuff. It's just testing conferences. Okay, so I guess the first thing we're going to need to do is learn how to install Cypress.
This is one of my favourite bits of like picking up a tool that we've not used much with is the how good are the docs, how good is the help, and I keep telling sponsors and like potential like work with MOT is I'd love to do more of this kind of exchanges with sponsors, like actually help them test their product as opposed to them telling us their product is ace. As a community, I'd love us to do more of this where we just grab a tool, give it a go, see what happens, and that's exactly what the challenges are designed for.
Yeah,
so have you ended up, Mark? Oh, you've clicked on installing. That sounds promising.
Yeah, so like talking about docs and stuff, that's one thing. My overriding memory of working with Cypress before is I was very impressed with how much time they've invested into their docs and stuff. There's some stuff in there when it starts getting into automation theory that I find is a bit misleading, and it's not stuff that I personally agree with, but I actually think the docs of how to use Cypress I like a lot.
I want to stress just for anyone listening, this is not a sponsored thing by Cypress. We asked on Twitter what tool should we try and solve the problem with. You all said Cypress, so if you want to see us solve the specific challenge next week or this week, there's an API challenge, there's a data challenge, and there is a visual challenge. So if you want to see us solve that in a specific tool, respond to us on one of these social channels and we will try and use that tool as well. It's just today 3 came back and 2 of them we're quite comfortable with and 1 we're not, so we're using Cypress.
Yep. So yeah, I knew that I needed to, so I've got Node already installed.
I bet you
probably a little bit out of date. Yeah. Well, you're just jealous because my version of Node works and is in a complete mess like yours. I knew that you installed it
version are you on? 16.5?
I think I'm probably a little bit behind.
16.14.2 for me, so
Oh, so proper old school. All right, let's give this a go. Let's install this.
Oh, let's check out this Norfolk Wi-Fi. Oof, look at that.
Speedy. I mean, the fact that most of my bandwidth is probably being used up by a stream is not going to help. But we'll do that. Well, while that's installing, let's go and have a look at this piece here. So it says installed and then opened. I think it is literally just something like yeah, so you can just do npx Cypress open, and then I think it actually does quite a lot of the work for you.
I'll be interested to see how we get this actually, because I believe they recently launched the recorder or some sort of because of the new DevTools protocol that people are taking advantage of. I think they built a recorder.
Should we give that a crack?
I'm not sure if that will help us get up to speed quicker. Again, at least to give us some code that we can, then start to hack on or improve.
Yeah. All right, so it looks like it's
part of DevTools because it uses the same protocol, I think. I'm not sure if that is theirs or not, but it looks like it given the amount of users.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's all set up. Let's have a look. Is this all? Yep, lovely. That's all installed and stuff. Let's use the recorder first then. See what it outputs, because I don't know if it just outputs some code to put into a check, or if it will actually build me a project or something like that.
Just to highlight a few of our points here as we're doing this, because we're trying to be about experiences as well. There's a few things that have just happened here that some people, like we skimmed over, that other people new to automation might not have realised. So Mark knew he needed Node. That's just because he has knowledge of JavaScript-based tools and how they tend to work. So he made sure he had Node. I think the docs probably would have installed Node for you. I'm not sure, but you need npm initially, so you probably already needed.
So it says and you've got system requirements.
Yeah, you go there, Node. So you already needed Node. So Mark already knew he needed that, but again, the docs are there telling us. Comfortable in a terminal. That's probably quite a skill that gets overlooked, that you need to be quite comfortable in a terminal, especially if you're going to use code-based automation approaches. Wasn't an intentional plug, but there is a great course on Ministry of Testing by Lim Sim that teaches you how to use the terminal well. And then also just knowledge that we get from being active in the community or subscribing to newsletters or things like that we knew that there was this recorder component of Cypress, because we've seen, we weren't tending to look for it. Your brain banks information as you go. So there's just a few little underlying skills there that don't get enough awareness versus, I know how to use the tool. Like me and Mark don't know how to use the tool, but we're already in a position to use the tool because we have knowledge from other places.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I just, while you were talking, I just thought I'd get Cypress open, because I seem to remember there was like some sort of wizard that will actually configure a lot of this sort of stuff up front for you as well. And again, like talking about courses as well, Marie Drake's done a really good course for Ministry of Testing as well, around an introduction to Cypress and getting set up. So she goes into all these details, all these aspects into much more detail. So I'm going to click this and see what happens. Okay, so that just creates a bunch of stuff for me. I'm going to just click continue for now. It is interesting though that it's giving all of this stuff, like details for these elements as well, so I can look at them. I will use Chrome. Here we go. So, all right. So do I keep this open? I think I do. I'm going to hide that for now.
I think you have to keep that open.
Yeah. I'll create an empty spec. I'm going to call this challenge 1. Okay, run the spec. Boom! Nice. Lots of stuff around. Interesting. So lots of stuff about the API as well. Very nice that it actually takes you to their help guides as well and stuff like that. Okay, so I think probably now I have stuff in a project that I can open. So if we go to desktop, challenge 1, let's open this. Yes, I trust
you. Do you need to open this? I know you've just opened it, but what on the other previous screen could you just start coding on that screen?
I'm not sure. Like I wondered if that was the case.
If you open that visit one, oh, it says open in IDE. I see a little button popped up when you hovered over test body. There, you see it open in IDE.
Right,
So.
yeah. Okay. So we've got a bunch of config stuff. I don't think I'm package stuff. End-to-end fixtures, support. So I'm not going to worry about fixtures and support right now. I'm just going to go straight into the challenge code.
So we get the whole describe and it that I'm used to hate, but moving to Rails, it's moving to Ruby. You get a lot of the describing it.
It's the best thing to do. There we go. Lovely. So got a bunch of stuff. Cool. All right. So let's try that recorder and see if we can just copy and paste into there.
Yeah. It's a good show.
Cool.
And
so
while Mark does
that,
a lot of tools get like recording. I definitely wouldn't hear me and Mark recommending that you record and play back. Like that's a terrible idea. Like because a lot of the time they record, a lot of things aren't necessary. But using a record and playback tool to get yourself up and running, absolutely. Like because we're going to see a bunch of commands appear in Cypress now that we don't know, and then it gives us a starting point to dig a little deeper. We could just spend ages reading the docs, but we're on a short stream, so see what happens.
And also it goes back to like something you and I have talked about a lot. Like I would prefer to just do it and get some code and inspect the code rather than read the docs and read all the text and stuff. Like the docs are for me like when I'm really struggling and I need a little bit more context. I feel like the code should speak for itself sometimes. All right,
we talk about it as well with proof of concepts. That's essentially what we're doing right now is a proof of concept, and the main thing here is to achieve a rapid feedback loop. We want to know very quickly whether Cypress can do what we want to do, and we're about to find out if it can. So, start a new recording. Do it.
I don't know what this selector attribute thing is. I clicked on this and it just gave me everything.
No idea. There's nothing on the add and remove selectors.
Oh, so you can just ignore that. All right, I'm going to
imagine you can tell it to use probably XPath or CSS or IDs or some kind of ruling around that. Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah. The thing that it says data-test ID might be like just only look for those attributes.
Yeah.
In an HTML. All right, here we go. So we're on here. Let's see what happens. So arcs first. Message. Now that's an interesting thing. I tabbed rather than clicked. Let's see what happens. Test@email.com. I'll click for this one.
Click that one and tab the next one. And that just again, I still like to talk about things that's in the course me and Mark teach. We talk a lot about designing checks, and one of the things we mention is observations of your own behavior. Because if you're using a tool and you're trying to automate, are you trying to automate as you want the site to be used, or are you automating it as you use it? So Mark just noticed there that he tabbed instead of pressing click. Historically, you would tell a tool to click a field, fill it in, click a field, fill it in. So we're basically, by mistake, we've now brought in the tab index logic, which currently happens to be correct. It's tabbed in the right order. But if someone now broke the tab index logic and we stuck with the tabbing, it would fail. So our goal, this is why you need to be very careful about what it is you're trying to test. What is the risk you're trying to mitigate? So if it is tabbing, then explicitly state that it's tabbing. But if it's not, be careful when you start mixing the two.
Yeah. I wonder as well, like, because I've made a few mistakes and stuff, does it record those as well? Or does it record just what's at the end? Well, let's find out. There we go. All right. Done the recording. Let's end it. See what happens.
So I think you get an export button. Oh, replay.
Yeah, let's do the replay first and see what happens with that. You see that's an interesting thing. With this replay, it fell over because it's trying to find the login. Yeah, I have to trash that. All right, let's see if we can export.
Why don't you log out and then rerun it, just so we can see it work?
Yeah, all right then. Give that a go. Yeah,
and again, not to talk on about the way we teach, it's all about training. When the state, Mark's state, when he created the script, was different from when he tried to rerun it then. So thinking about state and controlling the state it again is another skill that isn't about knowing the tool. It's about knowing how to design good automated tests.
Now this is interesting. So I've said export it, but I have installed the Cypress recorder, right? And I'm looking at this and it's saying export as Puppeteer script. So
time to go to Google.
Let's have a look, see what we get from that first. Oh, I can't do that. See if I can open that in documents. Yeah, so that's done it as Puppeteer rather than. Oh, good lord, though! Look at this. What is this?
I think it's our own terminology that might have been the problem. Maybe.
But that is literally called the Cypress recorder, so don't feel like I'm being unreasonable.
But I think it's we've googled the wrong thing. I think we wanted Cypress Studio, which is currently in an experimental phase.
Right.
So I'm not sure how that works, but there's also something called the Cypress Studio.
I mean,
which is
that's
a visual
still
way to
pretty
generate
lousy.
your tests. Yeah.
Unless, oh, hang on, have I opened something different? Maybe.
I think you've used the new Dev recorder.
The DevTools recorder.
Yeah, I don't think you've used the plugin though.
All right, well, you can get to see.
Well, you read about that. You try your recorder if you can find the actual extension, and I'm going to quickly have a look at the studio and how you install that.
So where has it gone? Maybe I need to.
It'll be in the top, won't it? It'll be in your top bar.
Oh, other people joining in. Lovely.
It'll be up here, Mark, near your face. Yeah, up there somewhere. There it is.
Oh, to give an extension. Right.
Right, yeah.
Got it. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let's try that again. Let's head back. Oops. Fooled by thingy. Right, so we do start recording. Okay, we visited this. Here we go. Right. Winteringham test@email.com. Just put the fake number in. This is.
And if you're watching on the chat, anyone, feel free to comment on YouTube. If you've got questions, I'll put them on the screen and we'll try and answer them as well. Or if you know what we're doing wrong, please tell us. Help us out. Ideally, the YouTube integration is the best bet. Well, I'm not entirely sure if that will work via Restream, will it? No, it won't. Should have just gone straight to YouTube. Never mind.
Here we go. Submit that. Hit admin panel. Go to login. Password. There we go. Lovely. Right. So I go here. Stop recording. Copy to clipboard. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Woo!
Oh, look at all your errors, Mark. Look at all these backspaces. I need to learn how to type.
I've got to admit, I got a little nervous on the performance. Okay. What's this stuff? Should contain. Yeah, right, let's just delete.
It's like
those.
assertions, but it's basically deciding to assert the URL for you. Oh no, but that's about the extension. No idea.
Yeah, that's a bit confusing. Yeah. All right, we've got. Why did we do a double click on the contact? Anyway, it's got what we need. So this is. Let's get rid of these backspaces. We don't need these. Let's get rid of those. Okay, so that gives us everything we need to submit the contact form. Let's put, I know code comments tend to be a bit frustrating sometimes, but it's just fill in contact form, head to admin, and that.
I'm guessing one of these buttons on the left, Mark, just while you're editing as well. I think one of these is the studio that we were originally looking for.
Oh, you mean
on the edge of Cyprus? Yeah, one of these icons.
One of these ones then. Okay. Settings, ROMs. Okay.
No, the screen you were on a minute ago, or was that Visual Code that you were on? Perhaps I'm confused.
Yeah, it's Visual Code.
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So we got 403. That may be because the refresh. No. Oh. Why have I got a bunch of these in here? Let's run all the tests. Run again. Okay. Axiosera saying got a. So it sounds like it's trying to test ID username. Right, I'm going to change some bits here first because I don't really want to rely on that.
It's interesting that it's clicking the username but never click the password field.
Yeah. Well, we've had this before, haven't we? Like when we did this with Selenium, where it sort of the race conditions, it would try and click stuff. Yeah. So if we comment that out, let's comment this out and make sure that these are actually getting filled in. So it's doing those bits. Oh, I know why this is. Now this is interesting. So what's going on here
cookie, isn't it, under the hood?
No, it's because, so if I show you how the admin works out if it's logged in or not is every time you refresh the page to be in the admin. So let's say if I click on rooms. Oh no, because I'm already logged in. Right, if I do log in here, so just / log admin again, no refresh, it calls the, come on, there we go. So if I go XHR, it calls the validate endpoint to say, am I allowed to be logged in? But if we log out and I refresh again, it gives a 403, which is correct because basically it's saying, no, you're not allowed to log in.
Why is it trying to validate though? Like, what's triggering it to even try? Because you've got a cookie there.
Yeah. So, well, I probably could tweak the production code to say don't call a validate if you don't have a cookie. But equally, it could be that you're trying to validate with a cookie that's or a token that's basically out of date. So, yeah, interestingly, it's throwing this error because it's going, oh, hang on, I'm getting a 403, but that 403 is fine. Yeah. So, can I turn this off? And you can choose to turn this off by listening to the uncaught exception. Okay, cool. So let's have a look at this. Let me just actually load that in a browser rather than Cypress docs. Uncaught exceptions from your application. When Cypress detects an uncaught exception, it will fail a currently running test. You can turn off this behavior globally or conditionally with the uncaught exception event catalog of events. Okay, so I could put, right, let's say, so what I could do is like say uncaught exception, if it's 403, return false, but I'm just going to go a bit mad here and so I need to put this in the support file. So if I go in here, commands, no, I think it would probably be here, wouldn't it? You can change the location of this file. The support, let's see what happens if we do that. Okay. There we go. Cool. So it did it. So it said, oh, I got a 403, but I ignored it. So that's an interesting thing. That's not something I'd really considered, because I know like Cypress likes to, it offers the ability to do API and UI as well. But we're in a situation where I feel like, I mean, I'm no developer and stuff, and there might be better ways to do this, but I feel like that's a valid case of basically saying there's an error because your token is invalid. But then I suppose on the flip side, it's that state question again. Like, you shouldn't really ever be running a check where the state is incorrect.
I think it's tricky because the fact you've turned that off, right? That's turned it off globally, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of these tricks where you've dealt with that because you built the app, right? You kind of knew what was happening. So for me, it is blurring the lines. We are on the UI, but the UI is behaving correctly. So obviously under the hood, there's been an issue of some variety, maybe. But I'm not entirely convinced by default Cypress should stop because of that. I think that should be something you should turn on, because it's mixing the layers.
Yeah. What is it? I see Paul play as well. Hello, Paul.
Yeah, sorry, there's been lots of comments on the chat. People are asking what we're trying to achieve. So if you missed the start because we were all muted, we are solving the UI challenge for Test.bash. So Test.bash is an automation-focused conference coming up in a few weeks. You can find it on that QR code and on that URL. And Mark and I are using Cypress because it's new to us. We've never used it before. Lots of people seem to love it in the community, so we thought we'd give it a go. And we are trying to solve the UI challenge using Cypress. So that's what's happening. That's why we're doing the stream. There's more challenges next week. There's an API one, there's a data management one, and there is a visual testing one. But yeah, if you're interested in the conference, click on the link. It's available to buy a ticket, £75, or GoPro, and you can attend the conference. And there's over 40 odd, nearly 50 solutions being shared to these challenges from a whole variety of tools.
So my next issue is that I'm getting a failure because it's trying to find message description 8, but because because automation in testing online resets itself, I don't think at the time of running there was an 8th one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, I should have done. Should work.
So this is an interesting conversation though. Where is 8 coming from? Is that the ID in the database? What are you using to set the number 8?
So I think the 8 is, so this is built using React.
Because that's not a CSS selector, is it? Yeah.
No, it's a test ID. Yeah, you see, so it's 0 indexed. So basically the problem is that I'm using a hard-coded ID, but it doesn't necessarily mean that message 8's there. So we've got 2 challenges here. Is I probably want to hook it into like what the name of the message is. Probably need to hook into that first, and then also then I will run into the challenge of the fact that this will update as well. So I'm wondering
so it's a state problem.
Yeah. So well, the selector as well. So I need to make a better selector and then handle the state in a better way. So yeah, this is a tricky one because this is interesting. So this raises another challenge, is the fact that we've obviously got other people on the AIT site. It resets itself as well. So we've got basically automatability issues here and testability issues here because this environment is available to a lot of other people and it resets itself. So we have to sort of kind of counter both of those things. Yeah. I'm trying to remember, like, there's no CSS way that we can just be like based on text.
Not with CSS. You can use an XPath locator to grab the text if you're looking for you're trying to look for the title of the one you've entered.
Yeah, so that would be something like this, wouldn't it? Oops. Let me just copy the text from here. Can't remember how to do. It's been a while since I've used since I've used XPath. Okay, XPath cheat sheet. There we go. Thank you, dev hints.
You might be able. I can't remember if you can do it with text anymore. I forget.
There we go. Yep.
It's something I avoid doing, so I've probably deleted like the.
So I want P text. Probably not the best viewing for a stream, given the fact that it's in a tiny little. Okay, cool. So I got that.
Yeah, I remember there was discussions. Now they were considering using. They were going to add a contains thing to CSS selector, but they decided against it because it goes against the principle of using it based on the design of the page, not its contents. Whereas previously people do it that way. So yeah, you can solve it with jQuery. So imagine, seeing as you're using Cypress, you could probably install a ton of things to help you do it, but you could probably even just write it in JavaScript if you wanted to. But yeah, let's just go with XPath for now, I guess. As much as I hate them. Blech.
Wow, this is an interesting thing because I think. So
it's an extension.
Okay.
Well, let's just take one step back, because what we're doing here is not something we would actively want to do, right?
No.
So if we were having more time and not doing it, on the stream just to get you all aware of what we're up to, what we would actually do here is, well, number one, we would have our own environment that we have more control over.
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't fill in the messaging at the front. We would go and create a message via the API to make a message appear. And then we would control the number of messages in there so we know that only our message is there. The issues we're facing here, obviously we can try and solve them because we're on a stream, but they wouldn't normally happen, or they shouldn't happen. If you're running your automation on the same environment that your testers or your team are testing on, you're just designing it to be flaky and brittle. So again, ideally we would discourage that.
We can
there you
query.
Go. You can do it for you. See, they built contains for you.
Lovely. So if I do,
is that going to return a lot though?
I think it will return the first one. So this is why I'm thinking, perhaps I don't know if we'll have time, but so if we do that, let's see what happens when we do that.
I wonder if it returns an array if there's more than one. No.
Nope. But I think it probably clicked the first one at the top. But what I can do here now, so if I do something like const message title equals, this is a new example one, and then I change these details. I'm going to do it this way around so I don't end up accidentally creating two. If I do message title here and then type in subject here,
while you do that, I'm going to see if I can do something on Restream.
Okay, so we've changed the title, so there should just be one now. Yep, so I think that, so this is a new example for challenge one, and it's done that. So I think the only thing probably left to do is, so what I would time permitting, is this might be a good example where I might use Faker, for example, so I could fake the message title so that it was unique. That said, as Richard has just mentioned, is that this feels like a smell to me. This is a smell for me. So what I would be doing is, rather than doing something like this and using fakers, is I would start the conversation of getting my own environment, or can I set this up locally and run this locally on my machine? Can I build some sort of data builder factory? Which that's why we did the data management challenge for next week's, because getting data set up correctly is very important. So so I could do a faker thing for that one. I'm obviously doing something temporary here, but I would probably want to do something to improve. I would build my own sort of implementation to manage data setup and retrieval.
And I think, for a quick experience report, this shows, you can get a tool that, we don't know much about, get up and running pretty quickly, we knew kind of what we wanted to do, and we were able to use the docs to help us. And obviously we've gone around the loops. We're not doing this how we would want to do it. But we're moving away now from the tool itself to how would you design a much better check, and that's kind of the reasons why we left these challenges kind of for interpretation. Because as Mark just highlighted there, if we take those top lines, I know you're shifting around a bit, but if you take those
oh, sorry, I'll go back to this for a second.
Yeah, no, where you basically got to fill in the contact form, like that's basically your state, isn't it? Where we need a message, because our risk was to read the message. So in order to do that, there has to be a message. So what we've done here is what we see commonly in the industry, but really this should be set via the database, via an API. It shouldn't be in our test at all. We should just be able to call something that says, create me a message and tell me what the title is. And then we then go to the website. Yeah, we can log in, but again, ideally we would bypass the login in a way as well. Like probably in RESTful Booker platform, you would call the auth API, get a token, set that token as a cookie, and navigate straight to the message page, and then start our actual test from there. Like, we're being quick here, but this isn't how I would design this if I was sitting down to do it properly.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so I'm going to try and see if I can just finish this and get us an assertion at least in. So I'm going to say, let's see if we can get let's go for React modal overlay. Oh, no, there we go. Cool. No, that's not what I want. I want that React modal content. So I'm assuming in this I would do something like get that, and I could say let pop-up equals get that, and then I could do expect pop-up to contain. God, I'll remember my expect to, let's say, to include, and then I'll put let's put test email.com. Okay, so as you can see, my memory of writing assertions in object testing must be an
really
array.
Interesting. Just why you do that is Cypress gets a lot of love and gets compared to other tools, right? What Mark's written there is not Cypress. He's written Chai. It's an assertion library called Chai that Cypress utilizes, which is why Cypress is a testing tool. Like, it's been designed to help you do UI testing, whereas some of the other tools, such as Selenium, its job is just to drive a browser. You need to mix it in with other tools to do assertions. Cypress is doing exactly the same. They're just removing the effort away from you. They're just deciding for you that this is the libraries that you should be using, and that's the very subtle difference. And that's why things might feel a lot easier with tools like Cypress, because they've bundled it all up for you. What did it fail on? I missed it.
It basically doesn't like the fact that I passed an element to expect. So basically I've done get me this element, but I need to call something to say
you need to now get the text or get the specific element.
Yeah. So I was hoping to do something like, because I thought actually,
you don't just need to get the text of the element.
I mean, I could do sort of
should have .text, I'm guessing.
So I think it's probably
include
should
.text.
Yeah, test@email.com, something like that. Let's give that a go. I was trying to be clever and see if I could actually run an approval test on it. Actually, see what happens here.
I think you need .text after your include.
Yeah.
So include should be .text.
.text like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, this is annoying that it keeps
it's
doing
very
this.
similar to Rails, or to RSpec.
There you go. Yeah, that worked.
Woohoo!
So let's try that. Let's change the message title to 2. See what happens. So we've got
Even
a
that
new
driver's
message.
celebrating for you.
Yeah,
Very
Woo!
impressed with your
that
cycle
worked
skills.
perfectly.
Assuming you all can hear that. It's dead loud for me.
Okay, cool. So yeah, that seemed to work. We managed to get something up and running. I mean, obviously, like I say, we talked a little bit about I probably want to improve all of this to have the state management done somewhere else. Um, like I know, like Cypress offers API testing as well, so you could probably use, I'd maybe build some sort of you could build some sort of library that will do like a bunch of API calls and stuff. Maybe have that in your support area to say, go create me a message and just call it that way. Um, Obviously, that is dog fooding a little bit, so refer it if we could create it maybe in the database directly or some other way like that. Another thing I'd probably look at is could I ditch this? So maybe do a before hook that says create me a valid token, and then just add that in as a browser token. I built a little tool like that before where it would convert it would do a rest assured request. It would take the cookies out of that and then put it into Selenium, into WebDriver, or vice versa. So you could do something like that. So literally all you do is create me a message, log in, or like go to the admin page, and hell, I could even do like rather than /admin, we could do messages. Could do something like that. We could probably actually remove this click here, so it just goes straight to the page. See if it does that. There you go. So
the key thing I want to stress to people watching is that separation of state and the test itself, right? If Mark just highlights those last 2 lines, that is our test. Our action is literally one action, and then we've got the assertion afterwards. The one thing I would say is we're probably missing the fact that you can see the message on the previous screen, which is what the risk says. It says to see and read the message, so we're probably missing a step to make sure the message is there. Then we click it, then we check that the message is there. But we've made this test really small, and it's just really important, I feel, that people realise that everything above this is state. This is data management. This is getting to the page to test. The actual test itself is tiny, and they should ideally be tiny.
Okay, so just one last one, just to make it more worthwhile. Yep. So it's actually checking the message details, because obviously, we could check the who it's from and their title, but now we can actually check some of the other details. Cool, got something running.
My final thing of comment is about the risk itself, right? So I want people to also appreciate this, that our assertion here, you could argue our assertion is quite weak. It's just that the text is on the screen. But our risk is that the text is on the screen. It's not that it's in the right place. It's not that it's, perfect and bold and the right colour or anything like that. Our risk was purely that the message appears on the screen and the user can use it. Yeah. So additional risk that we might cover in a different way might be the layout, the visual aspect of it. But in this instance, the risk was that the text is on the screen somewhere, and it is. Just so happens that as we were recording it, it is in the right place and it looks nice. But as we all know, right, if Mark butchered his CSS, that text would still be on the screen, but it would look shocking. But that's not what the risk is about. It's about, is it on the screen? Yes, it is. Excuse me. Yes, it is.
This is interesting, actually, because I did see, like, at the start of this all, if I can find it here, you have the option to do component testing. So you could actually just import the React component itself and just inject the data that way. Because it say the risk is, it's what part of the system do you care about? If we're doing this on the UI layer, we're probably interested in how the JavaScript's behaving. So we could have actually done it as a component test rather than an end-to-end test. And I like that Cypress are bringing this in now and encouraging people to do more of this, because a lot of the testing we do in the UI these days is not really about the HTML. It's not really about the business logic. It's about how it's being rendered visually. And component testing's much faster, much more reliable than doing the end-to-end stuff. And you run into a lot less of the issues that we have today.
Perfect. Right, there you go, folks. So, mostly Mark, but we didn't know anything about Cypress earlier. Mark managed to get it up and running and automating. Let's switch back to this one. We know I think the lessons that we're taking away there is really trying to fully understand what you're being asked to automate. Break it down in a way that you know what it is you're trying to test, why you're trying to test it, what state, what's the actual test, and what's your assertions. Then obviously we moved on to the whole purpose of this conference, which is being tool aware. We didn't really know the tool. We went around, we hacked it. It's not the nicest test in the world, right? But it works. It technically is mitigating the risk. We know it could be better. If we wanted to sit down and play more time with it, it would be better. But as a proof of concept, we got up and running in the space of like 30, 40 minutes, which is pretty cool. And one thing I would say from Mark and myself is we're able to use a lot of existing knowledges from using other tools. Like I know Selenium inside and out. Mark's done a lot with like React testing library and even Selenium yourself, right? So we know these other tools inside and out, but we're able to take the same concepts, selectors, flows, the actions we're trying to do, read the Cypress docs and get something working. And it's the same for any tool. So, encourage you to do what we've just done. Find an hour, have a problem. We've got them for you. Pick a challenge, try a new tool, see what happens. And you missed out on this occasion, but in 2 weeks' time, we're going to see 30, 40 other people who have done that exact thing.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, if we do the conference again, you can chip in yourself, record yourself and your experiences, and you'll even get paid for it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, so hopefully see you all at Test.bash 20th of October. If you're pro, you're already free. It's already there. All you got to do is hit the register button. If not, go pro for £25 a month or $250 for the whole year. Or equally, you can purchase a ticket if companies, your company who you're working for, your employer is not so keen on the subscription model as well. And also, finally, just to mention again one last time, we will be in America next year in US of A. We will be in North Carolina and in Chicago in February, delivering our 3-day automation and testing training. If you want to learn more about some of the theory stuff that we've been sharing as well.
So yeah, check out Test.bash. I believe 5 talks, loads of demos, experiences from the challenges, and I believe there's also an AMA and a panel. So it's going to be a great 12-hour-long conference. So yeah, check it out. And if not, check out Ministry of Testing if you've not done that before as well. And yeah, we'll see you on Thursday for the API challenge, which I need to spruce up my Ruby skills, I think, and we'll see how we get on. All right, enjoy the rest of your days, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.